Welcome to Riverbend Talon on WBGZ. Brought to you by the Halpin Music Company.
Brought to you by Pigpen.
Pig pile.
Pig pile.
According to Jody Grinder. What is happening, Mr. Dennis? How you living on this Thursday evening?
Brought to you by Matt Van Voorhis and Macias Insurance.
That's the
you
real
asked
one.
me what's happening.
That's the real one there.
So, I'm just trying to remember all the things I got to say.
No, get the business in first, man.
I think we did. So,
All right,
sea shanties tonight.
I meant Matt Van Voorhis. I meant that part.
That's how much stuff we got to talk about. So.
We got a lot going on, but let's get down to the important thing.
Okay.
Matt Van Voorhis will sell you insurance at
Right.
Macias Insurance.
Right.
And he sponsors this show.
Right.
And he plays guitar. Right. So have him come to your house, give you an insurance quote, and play some guitar. And we're
just
also
like John Cougar would.
Just like John Cougar would.
Mellencamp.
And the Titleist hat is sponsoring us. I'm not sure what's going on the other side of the room.
Just steal.
Something about it. I'm stealing third. Also, Halpin Music. Halpin Music
Right.
sponsors the show. They've been a sponsor since the beginning, I think. So
Yep.
get some music instruments from Halpin Music. Go get you a brand new spanking horn or a smash trombone, and then go get it insured before whatever happens to it, before a fire.
Or repaired.
There you go. Or repaired. There you go. Thanks for the sponsorship to all of them. And one more sponsor. What is it?
Well, that's the one for Alex.
There you go.
Michael Crider, Farmers Insurance.
Bum, ba, bum, 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 bum.
And his band Money Shots playing 3 times this weekend, so he's getting 3 more mentions. So we'll wait till then.
All right, we'll talk more about Mike at that time. There you go. All business done. Bills are paid. Thank you, guys. Now, what do we got going on tonight? We've got 3 members of the Undecided sitting in house with us. Now, allegedly sitting in house with us.
We forgot we were going to start our show with that from now on.
Allegedly,
yeah. Well,
everything
after this.
Everything I've ever said is allegedly.
That way, yeah, we're covered.
So, coming up next weekend out at the VFW, you know, we always through the summer talk about all the festivals out there. It's going to be a good one.
Family reunion.
It's going to be like a big family reunion, Hopperfest, and probably every musician,
mom's going to be there
for miles around, has got a guitar or some sort of instrument from the Don and Jody Hopper over the years. Mm-hmm. So Jody Hopper,
on credit, probably.
On credit usually. I $5 down, and then my lunch money till the end of the year,
or maybe no dollars down. Catch her on the right day, sure.
I can't tell you how many times I would walk in that place and I'd be like, "Hey Jody, I want to start a band. What do you need, honey?"
Yeah.
We just need a guitar and a guitar amp and
Pay
a
more
bass
for
and
a
a
soda
bass
than you
amp and a microphone and maybe like a keyboard amp to sing through. But we got drums. And she'd be like, "How much you got?" $38. All right, honey, you give me $35. You keep a few dollars. Here's a guitar. You know, it was amazing. So, and I know all the musicians around here have experienced that same thing that came from our era.
Sometimes zero, because you wanted to get a soda while you were there.
Exactly.
So that was your last 50 cents, and or 25.
But I still want the conga drums.
Right.
No. So Jody was talking to Robert and said, "Hey, I miss the gang.
Yep,
I miss the gang. I want to just have a big picnic and have everybody over to have a good time. But that's a lot of people.
Yeah, and all the gang plays music,
and all of them play music on the weekend. So it's really hard to throw a barbecue.
Right.
And
we gotta play
when everybody's playing. So they have set up the Hopperfest.
Right.
It is happening next Friday and Saturday at the VFW. And one of the bands that will be playing there, one of the mini bands, we'll talk about all of them, but one of them.
Not mini vans.
Mini vans. Mini. They're like tiny little bands. Yeah. They're little tiny bands.
And they show up in mini vans.
Mini bands and mini vans. I don't know.
Right. Let's be tennis shoes, too. I don't know.
I suddenly feel like I'm writing a Dr. Seuss story. The Undecided is one of the bands that will be playing there. And
those guys.
Anybody who was hanging out, listening to music in the late 80s, early 90s will remember the Granny's rocker years. Oh my gosh. We got Tom Pullen. Hello, Mr. He's returning to the show. Our returning guest. What's going on, Mr. Tom?
Hey man, it's awesome. It's good to see you. You're looking well.
You, sir, are looking much better than me. I've been sick for days. I hope I don't cough on you too much. You're sitting next to me.
I have been vaxxed and I'm relaxed.
I have been vaccinated for lots of things. I can't talk about all of them on the air. I've got a constant intake of penicillin just to control something. I don't know. By the way, you got any Sil on you, man? No. We got Mike Lombardi sitting next to him. My good friend. What is up, Mr. Mike Lombardi?
How you doing?
It has been years since we've seen. Well, it's been at least a couple of years since we've seen each other.
You haven't changed a bit, though.
You look the exact same. you know, except your pants are a little bit looser than those days. So.
Well, that might be true. Might be true.
And then one more.
Definitely looser than mine.
Well. Tight pants, tight shirt. Oh, that is a pack. No, next to him is Mr. Scott Robertson, my brother from another mother. What's up, Mr. Scotty?
Happy to be here, brother.
He is so unhappy to be. He's so unhappy with me right now. I've known this guy since I was like 12 or 13. I don't even know when we met. It's been so long, and he's just sitting over there going, "You sucking so and so and ressin' fressin'," like Muttley over there.
Scott just used all 5 words that he's going to use tonight in one answer.
Happy to be here tonight, and looking at me. You'll see it if you watch the video. Looking at me like
We learned a long time
I will
ago.
get you.
It's a good thing you didn't give him a mic, because I remember one night up at Big L's, we gave Scott a mic.
Trouble.
And then that mic got lost later that evening, and we never gave him one again.
Right.
So it's probably best that he's not saying anything down there, because
Still got that microphone, Scott. Still got it. Thanks, brother. No.
He got caught in the storm on the golf course tonight.
Yeah,
What?
you did.
Yeah.
Were you on a golf course when that hit? For real? Oh man, which one were you on?
Woodlands.
I was out in that same street. I was out on Harris. It hit pretty hard and fast out there, man.
Called Woodlands Lakes.
He didn't say Woodlands golf course. Woodlands Lakes now, man. Yeah,
Of course, sorry, Dad.
Yeah, it really it hit hard and fast. I was right over the hill there, and the valley was flooding. So
Scott went
touched down
4-wheeling.
somewhere.
Right? You went 4-wheeling after that. Had to give someone a ride.
I can't hear you.
Oh, you can't hear me?
No,
He-
I can't hear almost everything.
Okay. See, that's how you get out of talking. Can't hear nothing.
He's been claiming since we were like 16 that he couldn't hear very good, and now I get it. He never wants to talk.
Man, I was trying to get past 10
That's your
words,
trick.
but
Damage control.
Yeah.
I think we're at 10 words.
I
now.
think we're up to 12. I got a
12.
dozen on my clicker. All right, so-
New record.
New record. We've got.
so he didn't have
more-
to show up for the next interview or half the one after that.
We'll just play that in the background.
Right. We've got that. Happy to be here. We've got that on tape. We can say he's a guest anytime now.
There you go.
Oh man!
It's
So
Thursday night, what's going on? We need to.
yeah, let's
that list.
let's do our Thursday night, and then we can get down to talking to the undecided
Get down.
about what they get down, baby, like James Brown.
Get down, daddy.
Ow. What do we got
Sea
going on
Shanty
Thursday
Sing
night?
Along, 6 to 9 at Morrison's, of course, already
Every-
underway. Across the line, already underway at Fast Eddie's.
All right.
Open mic underway with Everhart and Light at Baker's and Hale and Godfrey.
Man, good food out there.
Grand Band coming up at 7 at George's local brew in Jerseyville.
Probably not on the roof tonight.
Strings and Keys, 6 to 9 at Big Daddy's in Edwardsville. I think somebody's going to be playing them.
Awesome. I think that's Joe Strings and Jill Keys.
Be a good way, though, to
I
get
don't
some
know.
people to your bar to set up some strings and keys and no one play them.
We
That's
have
as advertised.
right.
Right.
Also tonight, Thursday night, we got Mo Pleasure, 6 to 9 at Patrick's in Granite City. And Eric Lysau at 7 to 11 p.m. at Doit's Village Inn in Pontoon Beach, where I hear there is just a party going on every night. So I bet even on a Thursday, they're kicking it down there.
Probably.
Scott Marlin, 6 to 9 at Old Harold Brewery in Collinsville. So there you go. That is your Thursday night in the Riverbend area.
Tis. And there's a lot going on this weekend because there's 3 of those days this weekend, right?
It is a holiday weekend.
So Sunday becomes an extra Saturday. Is
There
how the bars look to be looking at that.
That's the way I look at it, too.
Right.
Double Saturday. So
Double
there you
Saturday.
go. All right, man. Well, you want to talk to our guests here, or should we just ignore them and act like they're not here for the whole? Scott's shaking his head. He's like, "Oh yeah!"
We got him to smile.
first thing he's been happy about since he showed up.
We could just reference to him as Silent Scott, like Silent Bob. All he does is make faces.
Not all girls make you spaghetti. You got to admit, Silent Bob only had like one line in every movie, but it was very poignant.
Okay.
So I'm
We
just
call
saying.
him Silent Scott, except if you've ever heard him play drums.
Right.
You know that's complete and utter BS.
Not so silent there.
Really, you wouldn't even have to see it if you saw the aftermath back in the day. If you looked where his drums were sitting at all the wood chips that were like drumsticks 2 hours before.
He was destined to move into chainsaw work. That man could tear up a set of drumsticks. It was like he was cutting down a tree back there.
It was his calling.
Right. You could never go barefoot on a stage. You're going to get a big old splinter for sure. So, and poor hippie like me, I had no shot. Yeah, man, those were some good old days. We were talking about Big Owls a minute ago. You were talking
Big
about,
Owls.
Man, that was like a steady Wednesday, Thursday for what, 2 years, a year, 2 years. That was it seemed like home away from home for quite a while out there.
I felt like we lived out there for a while.
That's what I mean. I like slept in the bed in the back room.
I know.
Taking showers in the storeroom.
Right.
And there wasn't even a shower back there. That's the crazy part.
Make do.
Just empty beer bottles.
There's so many, I hadn't thought, I don't know if you guys will even remember this place. I believe the manager's name was Corky, and it was in Bonne Terre, Missouri. Remember that place?
No.
You don't want to. So I actually own a little piece of property in Bonne Terre, and I drive right by that place every time I go down to it.
That is something we call in the business a repressed memory. You get shoved under
Yeah, there are some
and
things
bottled
you just
up.
choose to forget.
That one was one of those.
I remember two things about that place. I remember walking in the front door and the guy saying, "Yeah, you might want to keep all your stuff to the right side of the bar. Somebody threw up over on the other side and we haven't cleaned it up yet." And then there was a hole in the middle of the stage that I think at least one leg went through.
somebody's.
And when I stepped up to the microphone, my microphone stepped up to me because the stage just kind of
bowed just a
in the
little
middle.
bit.
Yeah.
And it was like I had to figure out what the optimal, I was doing calculus, during Moni, trying to figure out how far my mic was going to come up to me.
If Tom leans in one more
That's
inch,
right.
Oh man,
It was literally if Tom leaves the station at 5:00 going north, and his microphone leaves the other station going south, where do they meet?
where in the stage do they meet?
Right.
In the forehead, probably.
Exactly. Right. When does Tom's tooth come out?
Right.
Tom, it was my understanding we were going to have no word problems tonight.
Right.
You swore no math,
Yeah,
man. Oh, man. So that one of the things I remember about that was that the manager was like this real seemed like he should have been a DJ at some shady station in the 70s. He had like a satin jacket on, one of these kind of guys. And I remember his name was Corky. And probably the reason I remember this is I was really young and really poor, and the easiest way to eat was to buddy up to the manager real quick and talk him out of a pizza or a burrito or whatever. So
Well, if you're eating, I'll go.
I end up remembering a lot of the club's managers by how they looked or what I used to call them or whatever. Big Al was always good for a pizza. That guy was a sweetheart. So you guys, a lot of people might not say that, but he was nice to me.
Oh, you're awesome.
So you guys have been on hiatus for how long now?
35 and a half years.
I don't know. It's been a while.
I mean, we gigged for most of that, but
Yeah,
I'm not sure.
you were still on. I'm you weren't on hiatus that long, but
Everyone has a different definition for hiatus.
Yeah.
this is true. This is true.
I'm thinking about that satin jacket. So there was that photo floating around from, I guess, 36 years ago. You might have seen it on the promo that we put out. And I'm pretty sure Paul Steinbrueck was wearing that satin jacket.
That's awesome.
I know Tom had his hand on his hip, and he was looking
I was
serious
looking pretty
about
sexy.
something.
I was looking dead sexy.
Yeah,
Well, Tom was always sort of the eye candy of the band.
right.
Clearly. Everybody's
man.
Mike. Psh,
Who's Mike?
Mike. Oh, you mean Quasimodo over there with the keyboard?
I think we were fine when we were on stage as far as wardrobe, but for some reason, when it came down to taking promo pictures, we got really bad advice all the time.
Yeah.
And somehow those same 3 or 4 pictures just keep resurfacing everywhere.
Oh, they'll never go away.
Nothing ever goes away on the internet.
Yeah.
No, never does.
That's all ones and zeros now, boys.
It was all zeros back then.
Yeah.
Right. So like out of all those years, I remember a lot of stinky hotel rooms, long U-Haul rides where we couldn't go over 55, and I got good memories and bad memories. So like right off the bat, what's the pinnacle gig out of all those? Because that was a lot of years logged and a lot of hotel rooms and stuff. What for you, Tom? What was like your pinnacle gig? Like, man, that one was the bee's knees. Everything went right. Hard to think. See, it's easier if I asked what was the worst one, he'd have a list of like 20 that he'd want to shout out.
I've got one worst one that tops
all of them. All right.
Best ones, man. I don't think any of the big ones that we thought were going to be awesome.
Can we get sued for doing that?
Yeah. Really ever lived up to anything?
No, I mean, can we get sued if we
Well,
name the bar? I mean,
No.
No.
This place.
None of these places exist anymore.
I will change the name of the bad one to protect the guilty.
thank you.
Please.
So
They don't exist
but
anymore.
all the ones that like were super hyped up
Yeah.
turned out to be nothing.
Right.
And you said like Big Al's. There was really nothing like the electricity of walking on a Big Al's and having like 9,000 people in a place that had a 200-person fire marshal cap.
Two stories. Top,
2 stories.
Looking over you
Yeah.
from all directions.
And I mean that was fun.
Yeah.
That none of that ever seemed like work.
Big Al's was fun. We didn't make a whole lot of money there, but it was fun.
But we felt like rock stars.
Somebody made money.
As far as big ones, though, I think I won't say the whole show overall, but one of my favorite moments, though, I'll never forget when we were opening for Foghat, though. Don said, "Hey, this is our last song," and I remember hearing, he said Foghat's coming up, and I heard the crowd like kind of almost saying, "No, boo, we don't want Foghat. We want you to keep playing." And I thought, man, this is really cool.
You got to change the name. It's Hog Fat.
Oh,
Right? You can't say Foghat in a disparaging way.
Top hat.
Now, Foghat, I sometimes get them confused with the straight edge. But Foghat was the partiers, right? No, it was the
Head east.
Head East was the serious partiers. They were the
Those
ones,
guys.
and Foghat was more like we just kind of drink water now and stuff. Yeah, Foghat was the more serious of the two bands and had their stuff together. Played them little bitty guitars, right?
I don't think I ever told these guys, but I was sitting on the bar with the bass player from Head East, and we were partaking of product from the bar, and he said, "Hey man," he goes, "you guys should open for us tomorrow night."
Right in Florida.
And I'm like, "Cool." Yeah, it was New Orleans.
New Orleans,
I'm
yeah.
like, "Dude, our truck goes 50 miles an hour.
There's no way
I
we'll get
can't be in New Orleans tomorrow night.
If I left now,
If I left yesterday, I can't be there now."
right.
It's like
Now those guys were partiers.
Those guys were
Those
awesome.
guys were crazy. What I do remember about them though is their keyboard player was like one of the original guys, old guy, and remember they at the Speakeasy it was called. The stage went up 2 stories. Like the where you hung the lights, you were way up there. I remember they had a bar all the way around, and at one time I was up hanging lights on the bar, and Pumper said, hold on to the bar for a minute, I'm going to move the ladder, and he left me. He just left me hanging up there. How long can you hold on? And I'm going, please come back. But I climbed down, and I'm just kind of sitting there for a minute. He's letting, I'm taking a break, so I've just held my butt up there for a while. Here comes a keyboard player, and I'm watching him like get his rig ready, and there's keys missing on his keyboard.
Oh, yeah.
And I'm like, okay, curiosity. What happens if you want to play that note? I skip it. I'm like, okay.
He was missing like half the keys.
What are you doing, man?
Yeah. Well, yeah, and as a keyboard player, I know I had the same conversation with him. I'm like, oh.
Right? Were you missing any keys on your keyboards?
Nah. I don't think so.
You didn't seem real confident about that.
what are you saying about the way Mike played?
Yeah.
No,
it
no,
just sounded like it.
No, I was assuming you would go, absolutely not. I wasn't. I mean, I've had keyboards where I'm missing
Right.
keys, but yeah. Anyway, I thought those guys were really crazy parts. See, he's skipping the room because he knows I got a foghead or a heady story about me and him too. But he's like, I'm getting out of here.
And you can hear that same story about the keyboard on about 5 episodes of Riverbend Talent now.
Oh yeah.
See,
I think that's the ongoing.
I have
every time Headies comes up, he has to tell the missing keyboard.
That's because it blows my mind that a touring musician would have that attitude. I skip it.
Yeah.
I'm still blown away to this day. Like I would like.
I just don't play it.
I'm just,
Go
you know,
all-
for the folks playing along, they like to hear when they do that.
I'm saying go all George Washington and make some like he made wooden teeth. Make a wooden key and make it work. I don't know. Do something, man. So. Pinnacle gig to you. You were on the verge of telling us what your big gig was, and I don't remember. Did you finish
No,
that
I mean,
one?
like I said, that was a good moment. That was a good moment. And
The
I'm with
fog
Tom.
hat, yeah.
It seems like the big acts that we opened for just didn't turn out to be great overall for whatever reason. That I'm with you. A lot of the unexpected. The nights at Big Al's, most nights were fun. People loved to see us. They were all excited. Didn't take much to get them all riled up. So that was fun.
It's always about the audience. Forget the venue,
Right.
right?
But I think more than just overall shows, I just remember moments. I remember funny things that happened at different shows that people probably just wouldn't know about. Like little behind the scenes things that happened that are memorable.
Scott's back. Now I'm curious about that Headies story you wasn't going to tell.
All right.
You might tell.
You already told it.
Did I?
It's probably the same story. You're just going to say the same keyboard story again?
Yeah.
Oh no, this wasn't with the keyboard.
Okay, well,
this
let's
wasn't
hear
with the
it.
keyboardist. This was.
Can we hear it?
This was well. Those guys drank a lot.
Yeah.
They drank a lot. I'm sure they're not listening, so otherwise they'll probably be waiting for me outside. So they drank a lot, and they had this.
Their truck only goes 50 miles an hour. They
Right,
can't hear it by the time you're off the
they
air.
can't hear it. So they had this huge box of booze delivered to the back room, and there was 2 back rooms there. There was an upstairs and a downstairs. We were upstairs, they were downstairs, right? And so I go through and I see this huge bottle, and I'm like, oh, they're not going to miss one. So I snatch one and I run upstairs. Well, Scott's up there. And he's like, well, what are you going to do with it now? I said, well, I'm going to go get us some mixers. I'll be right back. You know, he probably asked me to return it, and I probably said, no, I'm going to go get some Coke, and our band's going to enjoy this because they didn't deliver us.
Coca-Cola.
Coca-Cola, yeah. Yeah.
Scott does not condone petty thievery, by the way. We have to, in any way, shape, or form.
I don't condone it either, but they had way more than 5 guys could drink. But I get to the bar, and one of their guys is at the bar going, there was supposed to be another bottle of whiskey there. And I'm like, oh my God. I'm like going, get the booze back, get the booze. I'm running backstage going, no, don't open it yet. Oh, that was pretty funny. Yeah. Oh, yeah. No, that was good times, though. I did, well, you know, that was
The thing I remember about the Speakeasy was you could climb up to the roof and watch the movies across the street on the big drive-in
the
theater.
drive-in theater, yeah. That was the way to spend set break.
Well, yeah.
Like, I wonder what's playing. Ooh, Porky's too. Sweet. you couldn't really hear what was going on, but you could see it and do voices for them.
It was like Mystery Science Theater up in there. Yeah,
There you go.
Awesome. Yeah, I got a lot of I got a lot of funny memories from that particular place. Like the guy who owned the place, or the guy who ran the place. Remember, he was like a little cuckoo, little on the. You know, he had his dress blues.
Allegedly.
Allegedly,
Nice,
he was
nice.
allegedly
Thank
on
you,
this
Tom.
rocker. But he had his dress blues hanging up where, like, you knew if you start stuff with this guy, he's ready to dress in his military garb and take you clean out, man. Remember the hotel that we had to stay in was actually in Germantown?
I do
Allegedly.
not.
You do not? So we had to take the ex-chief of police in the back of my pickup truck there one time because he couldn't drive himself. But right next to it was the ski factory where they made ski soda. You don't remember that? Oh, that was great, man. Some of my favorite
I was
memories.
otherwise occupied.
See,
There's a lot of stuff we've forgotten over the years.
Allegedly.
allegedly forgotten over the years.
I like
whatnot. Good time. So tell us about this all-time worst gig that you were talking
All-time
about.
worst gig ever was the Collinsville Miners Theater.
I remember that completely.
That's still going.
We were supposed to. It was supposed to be this awesome, huge fundraiser. All kinds of press. We actually had to go down there and were interviewed by like 2 or 3 newspapers, and it was just like, oh, this is going to be the greatest thing ever. And we walk in. The opening band opens. We're all backstage. Everything's fine. I walk out on stage, and there's like 4 people, and they're all under 14.
Nice.
It's like, really? This is it, huh?
This is where you make your big break, kid.
Right.
Band practice.
Right?
And I remember Sharon was all bent out of shape because the opening band played one of the songs that we played.
Oh, man.
That's the big issue here.
That was the big problem, yeah. And I guess everybody went home at that point because there was only 4 people left by the time we got on stage. Yeah, it was and
There's too many watts in your reverbs.
we were and I think the part that really roasted me was I skipped my class reunion for that one.
Oh, man.
And I'm like, this will be so, I'll do it, And so I skipped the class reunion, had the gig, was fighting with my girlfriend at the time. It was just an awful night all the way around. And
Those 4 people really dug
those
it,
4
though,
people,
I was going to say, you made 4.
They
I'm
were
not sure
kids.
those
Family
4,
members,
I'm not sure
probably.
those 4 kids even knew who we were. I think their parents dropped them off and said,
Yeah.
"You sit here till we get back."
All the other kids that were there for the first band had a ride home.
Right. Yeah.
You've probably seen double.
I probably was seeing double. There may have been 2 kids there.
There you go.
And they probably weren't even real kids.
Yeah.
Yeah. Allegedly.
What about you, Mr. Lombardi? You got any all-time worst ones that stick out? Like, boy, I could have skipped that day. Places or
wasn't a big fan of the Pat Travers.
Pat Travers. Oh, yeah,
Travers.
Snorting whiskey. That was over with the American Saloon.
He was a jerk.
Oh,
He was
yeah.
a jerk.
Yes, he was.
And just overall, I think the people in the place, it wasn't necessarily a great vibe. The stage wasn't great. It felt like the lights were like right on my face.
And those were the old incandescent 64 power
Yeah.
cans.
I mean,
that would
I
give
remember,
you a suntan.
I was on folding table.
First song, I'm sweating up a storm just from the light just beaming down on my face.
But if I remember,
I thought we were going to scrap that night.
yeah.
I thought something was going to
I thought there was something going down that evening.
If I remember that right, now everybody remembers it different. I remember it kind of like you guys. Everything about it was crappy. I think it was the All American Saloon or
It
something
was,
like
yeah, I
that.
think so.
Down on the landing at the time, and it was like this little bar down, and it was this little stage, and people were snorting whiskey and drinking cocaine, so
Right.
they were all riled up for Pat Travers.
Boom, boom, out go the line.
Boom, boom, out went somebody's lights. But if I remember, the night ended on somewhat of a good note to me because, like, we were leaving and Pat Travers was sort of just kind of coming in. But I kind of remember him, like, having a girl over one arm that was passed out, maybe a pizza in the other arm. And I thought, okay, he was a jerk all night, but that's kind of cool, right?
We sounded awesome in sound check.
Yeah.
And one of his crew members repatched our snake that night. And so, first song, right out of the gate, vocals are coming down the snare drum channel. It was just like, and it took like 3 or 4 songs for him to
Straighten it
re-sort
out.
out the snake and make it right. The best part of that evening was after we packed up, I walked down the street and watched the Indigo Girls at Mississippi Nights.
Nice.
There you go.
Nice.
And it was
There
like,
go.
what, that was actually one of those moments of clarity for me where I'm like, man,
This is way cooler than
that
that.
was I need an acoustic guitar.
Yeah.
Right.
Were you with us that night?
Oh, yeah.
Do you remember my?
Come in a little close. I can't hear you.
Do you remember my brother-in-law negotiating?
Oh yeah. Things were getting tense. Things were getting tense when
He
he.
didn't like the way things were going, so he took it upon himself to negotiate our sound. And things got a little better after that.
He's a fairly large individual, and I would not want to negotiate
He's
much.
vertically gifted.
Yeah, if he was negotiating with me, I would be like, "What do you want? My money, my wallet, my wife? What do I need? How many Vicodins does it take to make you go away right now?"
The answer is yes, sir.
I thought you were going to say the answer's 5.
Right.
That's what I remember of the whole show.
Yeah, that was. I agree with you on that. The Pat Travers incident, as we
Yeah, it
all
wasn't
refer to
great.
it now.
So that's even better than the Miners Theater for me, though, because I got to see the Indigo Girls. So at least,
Yeah.
Well, there you go.
You know,
at least it had a bright spot.
Right.
yeah, right.
I drifted back into how cool the landing was back in those
Oh,
days.
it was.
When you could just
yeah.
walk down the road and see the Indigo.
You couldn't
Girls,
walk
right?
down the road. You'd break an ankle.
Right, that's true.
Those cobblestones were like
You
the
could fall down the
worst.
road
Right.
and catch the Indigo.
But that scene,
But
I mean,
at the end of the night, you were sort of like alcoholically compensating for the cobblestones, and you were walking straight down the middle of the street.
straight as an arrow on a cobblestone, drunk as could be. You know, that scene at that time, the late 80s, early 90s, the landing down there was popping, man. And I know the St. Louis scene has sort of moved to the Delmar Loop, and it's a pretty cool, that the pageant's cool.
Awesome.
The hall right there
Delmar
across
Hall.
Delmar Hall is super awesome. But
the landing was it.
The landing, the difference is you can't, if you take off walking down Delmar, other than Blueberry Hill and the pageant and the Delmar Hall, what really has music playing there? There's not that many live.
The guy who rolls up to steal your money.
Right.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah.
Trumpet player standing in the corner.
When you walk down the landing, there were streets of bars that had live music playing, different kinds of live music.
Yep.
You had Kennedy's at one end and Mississippi Nights at the other end, and in between was a
Muddy
whole
Waters.
lot of goodness. Yeah.
First Rock and Kennedy's. And
Oh yeah. But First Rock, I think that's the one that ended up becoming Bernard's Pub, the second
Yes.
Bernard's Pub 2, because
Yeah.
the first one got like hit by a plane or something
Yeah,
like that.
exactly.
Right, it got,
Yeah.
the one that was out by the old Checker Dome, just a plane flew into
I had
the
a
club.
dollar for every time I heard that phrase.
I don't remember that gig at all, but I remember sitting outside. Of course, I say that sentence a lot, actually, but I don't remember that gig.
Right.
But I remember sitting outside, and all these dudes had like wandered off to get food or something. I'm sitting outside, and I'm just not really paying attention, and this group of dudes comes walking up the hill, and I hear somebody go, "Hey, John, look." And it's like, "Oh, please." And across the street from the First Rock was a male dance review called the Sex Pistols.
Nice.
Check
And,
that out.
And Scott was
well, yeah, well, and that's what Scott was doing while I was sitting. Anyway,
He wasn't getting food.
right.
Getting his dance on.
But
He invented twerking that night.
anyway, so the John was Johnny Lydon.
Oh,
Public Image was playing at Mississippi Nights that night, and one of his band guys saw the sign and showed him. And that's the only time I've been like truly starstruck.
Right.
I could not move. I couldn't say anything. There's just this dude with red hair and a mustard-colored suit making fun of a bar across the street from the bar I'm playing in. And I'm like, I've made it.
yeah. This is as good as it gets.
It
for
doesn't
me.
get any better than this.
Was that across from the First Rock?
Yeah, up on the hill there.
Oh man.
Yeah.
Yeah, now I remember when it was at the end when it was set up as Bernard's, and I can't remember First Rock, but it was like you had your stage and you had to go upstairs to get to the drum riser.
Yeah.
The drum riser was up here, and then there was a pit down kind of below it, and then it went up another level and then up another level, and it was like a 2-story drop from the top
Oh, yeah.
one.
And the really nice part was there was glass behind us, so everything sounded great.
It's genius. It
Yeah.
is genius.
The worst
yeah,
thing
it's
about the landing, though, it seemed like most of those stages were meant for 3-piece bands.
Yeah.
yeah.
They weren't set up for a 5-piece band with a keyboard
Right.
with multiple keyboard player with multiple keyboards and a drummer with a big drum set.
You're talking about seeing Sex Pistols there. I once followed El Duche from the Mentors. I stole him from his band. He played there in Bernard's Pub. When he walked out, somehow I grabbed him and took him for an hour and a half walking around the landing till they caught us. And said,
That's
"You gotta
not how I
be in
remember
Kansas
it,
City."
but-
And how do you remember?
I remember El Duce saying, "We're going to have a parade. Follow me." This is a guy from the Mentors. I don't think he needed any help getting around town. That's for sure.
I just
that
remember
guy
trying
just
to
took
avoid.
over places when he was in there.
I remember
he
every
was
time
like
we
G.G.
started to
Allen.
well, every time we started to go back down that road, it'd be like, "Nope, don't go down that road," because they're gonna be like, "Get in the bus."
I remember that parade.
Yeah. So
And by the way, the Mentors were a 3-piece, so
There
they
you go.
fit well on those stages. I found that
There you go.
ironic that came in right there.
So we are talking to the guys from the Undecided. Mr. Tom Pullen talking next to me, Mike Lombardi next to him, Scott Robertson snapping a picture right now, capturing the moment.
Riverbend
And,
Talent brought to you by the Halpin Music Company and by Mr. Matt Van
There you
Voorhis and
go.
Macias Insurance. Want to do some Fridays real quick?
Yeah, let's scoot through some Fridays quickly.
We got the pianos down to Raging Cajun at 9, Anthony Nanny and Jay Hollinger 2 to 6, and GenX 7 to 11 at Fast Eddie's Bon Air in Alton. HOOKiE 8 o'clock at Chez Marilyn's in Alton. About the only band that plays there now.
My boy's HOOKiE.
Yep. Lady Luck 7 o'clock at Baker's in Hale and Godfrey on Friday. Flipside at the Moose in Wood River. Sonic Tonic at Grafton Pub 6 to 10. Catfish Willie 9:30 at Patrick's in Granite City. Down and Dirty 8 to 12 at Doit's Village Inn and Pontoon Beach. Dave Cattani 7 o'clock at the Outlet at Edison's in Edwardsville. Mo Pleasure 6 to 9 at Big Daddy's in Edwardsville on Friday. Midlife Duo 7 o'clock at the Cabin at Judy Creek and Glen Carbon. Roaming Home 6:30 at the Canton Inn in Hillsboro. Scott Marlin Copper Fire in Belleville 8 o'clock. And Dave Caputo 5 to 9 at the Long Shot Tiki Bar in Portage de Sioux.
There you go. That is
That's
Friday. Friday evening in the Riverbend area.
Yeah, I want to do some Saturday too because
Yeah, let's fly through it and get it over with so we
course
can get
they got
back to
the,
talking
uh,
about the Hopperfest.
Right. Farmers Market starting things off on Saturday. Lots of art there. Pianos, Raging Cajun again on Saturday night. Jay Sable at the Lodge at Lovejoy. Wade Trent and Anthony Nanny 2 to 6 and GenX 7 to 11 at Fast Eddie's in Alton on Saturday. HOOKiE at Chubby's in Alton on Saturday. Troy Taylor selling out again. Every single one of them been sold out. $44
Good for
dinner
Troy.
where he tells stories, and this is the exorcism story he's doing this time. But you can't get tickets for that until July now. The next two are sold out, I think.
Man,
Congratulations.
good for Troy.
Yeah. Doppelganger, 7 o'clock at Baker's in Hale and Godfrey on Saturday. Money Shot, that's Michael Crider, Farmers Insurance, Alex's sponsor. They're doing the Wood River Food Truck Festival from 11 to 2. And then they're playing later that night in Carlisle. We'll get to that in a minute. Hicktown at the Refinery Bar in Wood River. Sit down and get down at 5 o'clock. Blacktop Boulevard, 9 o'clock at the Pump House in Wood River. Rockabilly Revival, 3 to 7 at Grafton Winery. Gatorhead all weekend long at the Hog Pit, 6 o'clock on Saturday. NGK, 5 o'clock
Nice.
at the Loading Dock in Grafton. Worth the Fight, 6 o'clock at the Oyster Bar in Grafton. Skylark Brothers Duo, 2 to 6, and Exit 52, 7 to 11 at Grafton Pub on Saturday. Parlor Trick, 8 to 12 at Doit's and Pontoon Beach. Steve Klein, 7 to 11 at the Moose in Edwardsville on Saturday. Dustin Coleman, 6 to 9 at Big Daddy's in Edwardsville. Fedorable, 7 to 11 at the Cabin at Judy Creek and Glen Carbon. The Tangent, 6 o'clock at Wild Pickens in Chesterfield. Fluffy Kittens, 8 o'clock at Rooster's Pub in Staunton.
Right? I like that name.
Yeah.
It's a
While you're
metal
up
band,
there,
right?
It's got to be.
You got to go see the Fluffy Kittens in Staunton, then head over to see Spilly Nelson in Litchfield, 9 o'clock at Chaps. First time there for Spilly Nelson.
Nice. Good for them.
And there's the other Money Shot gig. That's Farmers Insurance agent Michael Crider.
Bum, 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 bum,
So he
bum.
starts out in Wood River at 11, then he heads to the VFW in Carlisle for an 8 o'clock show.
Busy man.
Yeah, and then probably on Sunday,
And
too.
stopping and selling some insurance between, I think.
Probably. I mean, you
There
know.
go.
And that was all off the top of his head.
Yeah.
One more. What do we got? What's
Oh,
the last one
the
for
last Saturday. The Soulard Island Dudes, which is actually the Soulard Blues Band, but
Right.
they changed their name when they're at the Long Shot Tiki Bar in Portage de Sioux, 3 o'clock
There you go.
Saturday.
That's Saturday. And, man, that's a decent little Saturday going on there in the Riverbend area.
Whole page of Sunday, too.
A whole page of Sunday and some Mondays to go. But we got our guests here.
Mm-hmm.
We need to talk about Hopperfest.
Right?
Because Hopperfest is going to be celebrated by every musician under the age of at least 40.
It's the reason for the season.
It's the reason for the season. It's the reason I got my first guitar for sure.
I think it's a pretty cool deal, man. I mean, we all love Jody so much, and we don't get to see her like we used to because every time we needed a set of strings, we'd go see Jody and spend the day there usually.
Yeah.
You didn't just go in for a few minutes unless you had a gig or something.
You did the lunch money plan, didn't you?
Oh,
yeah, definitely.
Absolutely. $5 a week, man.
That's a popular plan.
The lunch money plan was the only plan a kid my age could get a guitar on.
I swear the cash register at Hoppers smelled like lawnmower.
Yeah, probably.
Because every kid brought every bit of grass cutting money in.
right.
And it's like, you know, I swear it smelled like Briggs and Stratton.
Lawnmower and newspapers.
Yep.
Pigpen
Well-
brought all the change he stole from ashtrays.
Hey.
Couch cushions.
Allegedly.
Stole from, and let's not forget the fountains at the mall.
We didn't have security cameras back then.
Yeah.
Maybe it was my crib
I mean,
more that did that. I don't know.
what kid didn't like reach in the fountain at the mall and grab a few pennies every
Right.
now and again? You know, you're
Oh,
like,
Or in my case, didn't throw you in the fountain to go get me some money.
right. Go on, tiny hands, go down and get some money.
I'm not going to fit in there, but you will.
No.
Yeah.
Hey, we got
Looks like we've got a
Surprise.
guest coming
Royalty.
in.
It's
royalty.
the saint
Come on in and
herself.
sit down.
Yeah, Jody Hopper
Speaking of Jody Hopper.
dropping in on us.
I'm fine. How are you guys?
Awesome.
Good.
We're just getting ready to talk about you.
Oh, I'm so glad I'm here. I knew it would be good. It's terrible when you have short legs.
We've been talking about her, but now we get to talk to her.
Hey,
That's right.
you better calm down.
Yeah.
Don't
All
you
right,
have
Jody
one
Hopper
more
in the
missing?
house.
Oh, there's a couple missing. Don has to be at work at like 3:00 in the morning or something
Oh,
stupid.
wow. Yeah.
And then we're just giving Paul crap. So, yeah,
Perfect.
Isn't here, is it?
he isn't.
Well, that dirty rascal.
Yep.
Well, the most important ones are here.
The good look ones are
How
here.
you doing, Mom?
That's right.
What do you remember about the Undecided, Jody?
Oh, Lord, you don't want to know.
Please be nice.
Pigpen's been talking. It can't be worse than what he said.
Oh, I remember. They were actually the hottest thing around.
Yeah.
You know, you just mentioned there. Oh yeah, that's that band. They're on. I said, yeah, but you don't know the people.
So yeah, they owe me money.
A lot of
Well, I
money.
didn't
Yeah.
say that.
I love that they play gigs.
Yeah, I try to help them get on. No,
Well, in fact, my first, the first time I met you was Paul called me one afternoon and said, "Hey, our bass player just moved. We're playing the Expo this weekend. We need a bass player."
oh really?
And I'm like, "Well, my amp ain't gonna cut it next to Scott because Scott hits
He's
like
loud.
Yeah, he's a little loud.
beast."
Oh, come on.
And so I walked into your place with my crappy old bunch of gear. I'm like, I got to keep up with Scotty. And you said, "Oh, well, here." And you said, "Just pay me when you can." And so I walked out of there with a rocking gear that I used probably most of the rest of my career with the Undecided. And I was going to quit after that show. I told Paul, I'm in it for one, and then you guys find another bass player. And about 4 years later, I
I was
got
going
around
to
to
say
quitting.
that lasted about 4 or 5
Yeah,
years, didn't
yeah.
it?
So sometimes I procrastinate sometimes.
Right. Well,
So
we all do.
We do.
So, yeah.
We grew on you.
But yeah, so
this bowl now.
yeah.
Literally.
So yeah, you hooked me up with my first real amp, and
I'm glad to hear that. I've hooked a lot of people up
You
with
have.
first,
Yeah.
and it
Jody,
makes
I don't
me as happy as it
know
does
a single
them.
musician who didn't come out of your house.
I know it, but don't go telling everybody that. They might think. No, I know a lot of musicians. I just call them my music family because
You
they're
always
all
did
like
call us
family.
You always
Yeah,
did.
I loved my.
I mean, some of your acts of kindness I can't even talk about on the air. But they were, I mean, that's how generous and kind you were to
Well,
everybody. It
Yep.
didn't matter.
That's kind of what I went in business for. I mean, not that I had a lot of money, but I felt sorry for some of the guys that really wanted to play, and nobody wanted to trust them.
Nobody,
Well, shoot,
no.
I took their $2 allowance.
No, and they're probably right.
Yeah. They-
but you were probably the first creditor most of us kids had.
yeah.
Exactly.
That
Probably.
actually, would actually trust us.
Yeah.
It's like, where are you going to find credit at 15 years old? You know,
And hoppers.
that's right.
Yeah.
Maybe a couple other local guys, but they had different products.
It's a different situation.
They're a
entirely.
totally different topic.
Yeah, but how much of a valuable lesson is that to a kid that age to understand, if you earn and get out there, you
Right.
can get things.
And
Right.
that's what I tried to get across to them.
She was like part gear salesperson, like part counselor.
We
She'd
carried
like,
on all things.
yeah, she'd fix all your broken head stuff, and get you the gear you needed, and send you along with some little life advice. and all the important stuff.
Yeah, I'm glad you got the life advice, because when you said broken head, that was my first thought. It's like, yeah, my head's been broken. I walked in there and got straightened out a few times.
Exactly.
Yeah, well,
Should be made a saint. You really should.
I kind of had a hard life. I grew up in the South, and we were just poor. We didn't have nothing.
I never would have guessed
And I started to work when I was 13 years old, and I learned very quick. You don't go and spend what you made this week. You put back some, And it worked for me. So a lot of the kids, they didn't have a pattern to follow. And we just sat down and talked about it. Most of them, I got to say, most of my kids turned out pretty good.
Agreed.
I'm not the old woman that lived in
Except Scrap, yeah.
Well,
Yeah.
I don't claim
We're still working on him. We're still working on him.
I'm not the old woman in the shoe. I'm the old woman in the music store.
It could have been a shoe.
I had so many kids, I didn't know what to do.
You did.
I did. I love the kids. That's what I went in business for.
Man, you got to be looking forward to seeing some of them coming up here.
You don't know how anxious I am to do that.
We're not kids anymore, though.
No, but I still love you.
Speak for yourself.
Well, most of you. Yeah.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah, one hasn't
Do
grown
we still owe
up.
you money?
Who?
Do we still owe you money?
Yeah.
Are you going to be collecting the tabs?
That's what it
That's
is.
what the party's all about. He's collecting all final debts. Oh, man.
No, but I do expect Donnie to come up to me and say, "I know I still owe you on that partial head." Because every time he sees me,
Him?
he says that, but no money passes
No.
me.
Did you hear that, Don?
Yeah, did you hear that, Don? No wonder you're not here.
You hear that, Pigpen?
But he hasn't forgotten it at least.
It could be repossessed
It's being
that night if you don't play your
re-recorded,
cards right, dude.
No, that's been many years ago, and
That's
it's
good.
all water under the bridge. But he will mention that every time I see him. I said, "Yep, Donnie, we know that."
I wouldn't be surprised if somebody does show up with a payment. It's like, I haven't seen Jody in a while. I better take her.
There's so many out there. I think I owe you money. I mean,
Oh, shucks. That's been too many years ago. I have no idea. I'd probably be a millionaire.
With
if everybody
interest, you could
paid
probably
me.
buy your own island at this point.
And that sounds
be like
good.
Yeah.
Have
Mick
all my
Jagger over
musicians
there.
out there to play.
Yeah, somebody walking along bringing you boat drinks and stuff.
Oh, yeah.
Little
Shoot.
umbrellas.
Ah.
That sounds really cool.
Yeah.
We'll leave Pigpen here.
Yeah. Somebody's got to work for a
finally paid
living.
me, man. I can live like this.
Well, we don't have an island, but we have a VFW. So we're
Yes.
going to try it out on
Yep.
It is the island of music.
Yeah. It is
The
a
weekend of the
wonderful
4th and
place.
5th.
4th and
Yeah,
5th.
it's
right.
a wonderful place out there, too.
It's a
I
great
think.
place for a festival.
Yeah.
You were just priceless, growing up and after.
I appreciate
There
that
was
so much.
nobody like you.
And I fulfilled my dream.
And your late husband, God rest him.
Yes. He was going to do it.
He was gifted at repairing everything.
And 6 months down the road, he said, "I can't take this. They want an answer right now." And he never was quick to answer. And I said, "Well, you have to think and you have to tell them something." He said, "No, I don't. I can close it." I said, "No, we've got too much in it now." He said, "There it is." I said, "Okay."
It's a good thing you became the face of it. I love Don. Don's known
I
my
know.
family. They go way back.
I know what you're going to
But,
say.
but if he was the face of it, we would all been too scared to go in there
Well,
too
yeah.
often.
I knew not to cross that, man.
Be like, I really need to go get a guitar, but then I got to talk to Don. If he's in a good day, it's going to be fun. He's going to make me
Yeah.
laugh, but he might holler at me like
Yeah.
my dad.
You can get 3
Sean
steps
still has
up.
bad dreams of
Jody.
overalls.
Right. You'd walk out of there in amazement with equipment going, I owe that lady money, and that guy over in the corner was looking at me like, I better pay, too.
He had that harsh look, and he had
But
the way he'd
was
say
jovial, too.
things.
Yeah.
It
Yeah.
sounded like he was mad or something. But really, he had a big heart. He just
Oh,
didn't
yeah.
want to
We're
show.
all shaking our heads going, oh, man.
Well, I mean, it's obvious he wouldn't have let you do all that
Oh,
stuff.
yeah. Not at all.
You know,
Yeah.
it's like you let him take how much money out of here for $3?
And
gave
he
away
never
what?
asked,
Never questioned once.
Never questioned
Yeah.
me once.
So it's clear where his heart was too.
Oh yeah, and I'm making jokes about him grumbling,
I
but he
know.
was very jovial.
And-
He was a goofy guy that liked to play music and have a good time.
He did.
He could just come off as gruff to some
Yes,
of the
he
kids. It was
could.
like, oh,
Yeah.
He's like my dad hollering at me.
Well, someone would even tell me. They'd say, if I come up there, I don't want to talk to the man. I want to talk to you.
Oh, now.
And I'm like, okay, come on, I'll talk to you.
I might have been a little afraid of him a few times, but I never.
Well,
I
you
always-
actually bought your first guitar beginning with him,
Yeah.
and ended up with me.
Yeah, he. I saw him hammering the sign in the front yard.
Yeah.
He's like, "You sell guitars?" He's like, "I sure do." And
Yeah.
there was no store; it was just the basement down there.
Oh yeah,
About
he
12 guitars.
wasn't supposed to have all that down there.
I got my first hardware at your shop. All of it.
Yeah.
Yeah,
My favorite Don story was I, something like fell off my bass one time. I went in there. I'm like, I'm missing this thing, and he's like, hold on. And he goes into the basement, and I hear,
yeah, rattling in the.
and he comes out with this one little screw. I'm like, how did you find that? He's like, don't worry about it.
Yeah, he was like
And it was
that.
exactly the right screw.
Yeah.
It's like, seriously?
Yeah.
And it's like he like just dipped his arm into a vat of
bucket,
stuff
yeah.
and pulled the one
He
thing
had
out.
a
It's like,
whole
here it
bucket
is.
of-
Yeah,
He fumbled around till he found the one that felt right. He goes, oh, "There it is.
That's
there
it.
is." Yep.
1963 pickguard screw right here.
You know, he had that workshop down there that would look like just you'd get lost in the place, but he knew it.
Oh,
he
he
knew
knew
where
where
everything was down
everything
there, and
was.
he
Yes,
had some
ma'am.
amazing stuff happening.
There were actually 4 drummers living on that workbench that he never knew about.
That's good stuff.
Well, he loved that part, doing the repair and all that. He just wasn't an upfront man, you know.
Turns out you were.
Everybody says I have a big mouth. I guess that's where it come from.
You know, I always felt like I could get 3 steps to the door from you, but like Don would catch me.
Yep.
And he's like, no. And he's like, no. You can't beat him. I think I can get her. She got to come around the counter.
Right.
So we got the big family reunion coming up next weekend.
Oh, I hope everybody comes. I'd love to see all my people. And I have a lineup.
So all you musicians out there, everyone who stepped foot in Hoppers,
Or didn't even just
or even
knows
if you
us.
didn't, but you just know of the legend, or you're just now hearing of it, you should really come out next weekend because, man, 2 days of great bands and just it's going to be like a family reunion.
Yeah.
I'm hoping like you. I'm hoping I'm going to see a lot of people I haven't seen in
I
years.
think we will.
It's
I
gonna
think
be a
we
lot
will.
of fun.
If we have a nice weekend, I hope we
Something
do.
like Hoppers will never exist again.
No.
And you
ever.
know,
Yes.
I
So-
appreciate that so much. I
It
think
never will.
about
It never will.
people always tell me that there'll
'cause it's
never
true.
be another store like yours.
It just never will
And
exist.
I'm like, well,
It was
we
more
just-
than a store.
We just called it the old country music store.
It
You know,
was-
like they used to gather in old country stores and sit
Yeah.
and
The
talk or
fact
play.
that you sold gear was sort of secondary.
Yeah, it was more than a store.
Yeah.
It was come place get your head checked.
It was like Floyd's barbershop.
yeah.
Yeah.
Well, that's kind of what I wanted it to
Yeah.
be, you know, because sometimes you need more than just an instrument.
yeah.
Sometimes you need to be told off about what you're doing.
Sometimes you need a foot in your butt. Yeah.
And that never failed to happen when it was needed out there.
It's right.
If you need to hear something.
Well,
you
then
heard it.
we have another one. Tom stepped in my shoes.
Yep.
He's over at Mojo's. You guys don't forget that because
Right.
he's
Well,
a
that's
wonderful
about the closest
guy,
we're
too.
gonna get.
I'm trying. Yeah.
Yeah.
That's one of those things where when we bought the store, I said to Jamie, I'm like, all right, Jody set the example. We got to get as close to that as we can. And
That's what you need to do.
Getting there's rough. It's tough to do these days.
It
but,
is,
but we
because-
can get as close as we can. We can try.
See, I started in '83, and we didn't have all this war with
Guitars and
Internet.
all the internet and all of that.
Yeah.
And I don't care how much you preach to them. I've had kids buy them off of the internet. Then they bring them and want us to set them up.
Mhm.
They could have bought them from us cheaper because the setup's $35 to $40.
Exactly. We do.
And you can't.
And they're
play
still
'em.
doing the same thing.
Yeah.
It's like, this would have been free if we would have done
Absolutely.
it for you. And you probably would have paid less for the guitar anyway from us.
Yep.
But you know what? Those big chains, they're going down.
I hope so because
They're
it's
going
hurting a
down
lot of
because
people.
they don't have the service or
They
the
don't have
relations-
Jody.
They don't have.
They don't
that.
have Jody.
Yeah.
Well, I was in it for them because I would get calls sometimes at 11 o'clock at night. We just had a cord go out? Where are you playing?
Yeah.
And I drive it up to
There's a difference between a place owned by, Bain Capital and a bunch of investors,
Right.
or a place
Yeah.
owned by somebody who cares about the people. Right.
Like,
right.
I'm
It's
sure
like-
you know some of your customers, and you know what they
Oh,
need
sure you
automatically
do.
when
Right.
they walk in.
Right.
Yeah.
That's a good store.
Yeah.
You know.
I'm going to tell you, the first time I went to the store after Tom was running it, he even announced, we have a celebrity here. And I felt about this store.
Hey, Tom, can I call you up at about 11 o'clock at night and I got a gig? Go bring me
Oh,
something?
yeah, I don't go to
Okay.
bed till. I'm a musician, man. I don't go to bed till 3 or 4.
Sandwich went to bed already, so maybe.
Yeah. Yeah, he's probably in bed already.
I think he complains he's getting up at this time. You know.
So, yeah.
Well,
No, that's
musicians are
amazing, though.
supposed to sleep in
Yeah.
the day and play at night.
I drive down to the store and get stuff for people if they need it.
Yeah, that's cool.
That's the way you got to do things.
Well, yeah, especially if they're in a gig and got to finish it up.
Treat
you
people
know.
right. Yep.
Yeah.
So you got the bands all in one place for you. So you just bring some extra gear to the VFW on June 4th and 5th. On the Friday, you got Jeff McGee, 5 o'clock. Agents of the Free at 6. Jay Lipe at 7. Flatliner at 8. Power Trip at 9. Leadfoot at 10. All at the Cottage Hills VFW on June 4th. And then the Undecided playing Saturday night, right?
That's right.
The 5th.
Okay.
Along with Borderline, 5 o'clock, Hive Mind, 6 o'clock, J.D. Dunham, 7 o'clock, Unknown and Sailing at 8. And what happened with the end of that? We figured that out yet? Is it Sandwich Band Undecided?
I've got on the one I got Sandwich Brothers Band at 9, Tripwire at 10, and then Undecided at 11. But I
Okay.
don't know. I got people shaking their heads, so I don't know if
Well,
that's right.
Okay, something like
One or
that.
two of them
So-
might change.
yeah.
We
Some-
might have to.
We got time.
It's somewhere in there, but
Yeah.
those are the bands that'll be playing, and that is next weekend out at the VFW in Cottage Hills, which is a really cool place if you haven't made it out there yet.
I think we're on at 8 now, and I'm not sure about
It's
that.
all up and
Well,
it's all undecided.
I know the song-
It's all
it's changed.
undecided.
Whoa,
So
good
Undecided,
time.
man.
It's like you do radio or something.
That's why he's a professional, you know.
That man is a professional.
Most of our crowd is not awake at 11.
Octogenarian. I think is the
Yeah,
word you're
we're
looking
old
for.
now.
So,
The
well, there you go. It's going to be
That's right.
either way. It's going to be a good time. And anybody who's listening, who's thinking, "Well, I want to hear more from Jody," shut up, Pigpen.
Right,
I want
right.
to hear more from Jody.
Yeah.
We're getting ready to talk to Jody some more. However, we're going to play that all back for you next week. So
Right.
you want to tune in next week, same bat time, same bat channel.
Yeah, because they'll be out there setting up and everything by
Just
this
remember, Undecided brought to you by Depends and Geritol.
And AARP.
Yes.
time. Hey, Tom, that reminds me. One of our sponsors teamed up with you, didn't they? Up at Mojo's for $100
Yeah,
gift
Mr.
certificate?
Crider.
Yeah.
Yeah.
That's a pretty cool thing.
So yes, swing by, fill out a little form, and you can win a $100 gift card. I mean, come on.
Yeah.
Mr.
Courtesy of Michael Crider.
Mike Crider,
Mike
Farmers
Crider.
Insurance,
Yeah.
yeah.
Cool.
That's a
Yeah.
cool deal.
Awesome dude.
Yep. He's playing on Sunday. We didn't get to Sunday, but
All right.
you can go to the website and check it all out, right?
Yep, cottonmouth.org. You can hear all the gigs that were listed earlier that we talked about, and you can also check out the Sunday and Monday lineup that are all right on the front page there.
Money Shot's going to be at the Gold Bar at Rustic Retreats on Sunday.
There
Since
you
they
go.
sponsor us, we'll get theirs.
Yeah.
in.
See,
Right.
and if you wish you were getting mentioned, Mr. Jeremiah Johnson, you could sponsor us now.
Right.
I'm sorry.
That is- that
picking
is
on
cool.
poor Jeremiah.
That is cool. He's playing Sunday, though.
Yeah, at Chubby's, which
That's right.
I it's a good name for a place.
Definitely.
I'm chubby just thinking.
Hey,
about
hey,
love
hey.
Chubbies.
I'm getting chubby thinking about it. I
Hey,
think we should.
hey,
I think we should.
We
This
don't
is a
talk
family
about
radio
that.
show.
I know.
This is a family-
I know.
Six-pack over there.
We need to get them to sponsor us so you can say you're chubby every week.
You know, if
So
you talked to him, he
Kevin,
probably would.
Kevin, if
you
you're
go.
listening, get a hold of young Sean here
Yeah.
or Dennis, and throw money at him.
Oh yeah, I'll start dancing if you do. Wait a minute. That's probably not what you want me to do. I'm sorry.
That is
There
not.
goes that.
There goes the money. They're taking
Never
the money
mind.
back already.
You promised there would be no dancing.
I'd rather be poor.
That's the only reason I showed up.
Right?
You said no dancing. I said, all right, I'm there, but otherwise,
Well, all right. I'll stop dancing.
okay.
Hey, well, big thanks to our.
John Cougar's a real good dancer.
Where did John Cougar Mellencamp?
Well,
always wondered.
probably in Indiana
There
somewhere.
you go. So big thanks to our guests. We got Scott Robertson, who tried to hide the whole time. Mike Lombardi, who's still looking just as dapper as he did all those years ago.
One dapper feller.
Tom Pullen, everybody get up to Mojo Music, fill out the gift, the card, maybe win $100 off Mike Crider. I don't know. Definitely buy a guitar while you're there. Why not? You got nothing else going on. And our
I'd like to say it increases your chances of winning, but I can't say that on the air.
But I'll send you a message in a bottle that
Right.
says that.
It's a maid of honor.
And then our guest of honor, thank you so much for all the music gear and all the love you've shown us all for so many years.
I wouldn't have had it any other way. I loved it.
You're the reason. You're the reason we came back out of hibernation.
I know. I feel
36
real
years
honored.
later, it's
I
like,
feel really
hey, you
honored
guys look
that.
familiar.
Also, a big thanks to our sponsors.
Oh, yeah, Halpin Music Company and Mr. Matt Van Voorhis of Macias Insurance.
And of Stubblefield. So,
Of Stubblefield,
there you go.
yes. Yes,
Yeah,
yes.
Matt Van Voorhis was another one of my regulars, too.
Yeah.
There you go. And he's
Go ahead,
listening
talk
right
about him.
now.
We
He
love to
listens
talk
every
about
week.
him.
He's a great guy.
We talk a lot of trash on him.
Well, I might not be able to talk about. I don't really know much trash.
I know, he's a super nice guy. That's why we had to make all the
right,
we make all the trash up we talk on him.
I was going to say, I can make up some trash on Matt right
So
now.
here-
I saw him troll in the streets last
Here's the
night.
beauty, though.
Let me tell you about the golf game.
When talking to Sean here, it's like mutually assured destruction. It's like if he starts bringing up dirt, it's like, okay, here we go. September 4th, when you were climbing that light pole in Hardin.
Jerseyville High School.
Yeah.
Oh, man.
In Jerseyville High School.
Across the stage.
Then there was this one night when we were coming home from Beneld.
Yeah. So we won't go there.
So we want. I didn't mention any of those things.
Look, here's the thing.
And I would never mention those things to try to embarrass young Sean here.
We would need a whole
It
nother
would be
show for
tough
this.
to embarrass me. I'm
It
going to
is,
say.
He's
definitely.
been really forgiving.
He's been really good. I'm surprised.
You know.
It really unlike you, Sean.
He'll
This summer he's
get
got
you
the dirt
later.
on.
Oh, he will. It was very unlike you.
I have lots of stories. Very few of them arable.
Right.
Very few of them I can put into words. That I mean, you know, but they're
Three letters about this story. FCC.
those are the three. I mean, okay, so I can't tell that story or that story. Or that.
So there was this one time. Whoops, nope, can't tell that
Nope.
one.
Hey, I spent a lot of time in stinky hotel rooms and U-Hauls with these guys and playing some great gigs. And
Maybe
I
you were the
appreciate all
reason
that
they
time.
stunk, though.
But I think Paul
That's the
Steinbrueck
common
shoes.
theme.
Paul Steinbrueck
Oh.
shoes. You want one reason why those hotel rooms stunk? I'm going to tell you.
wrestling shoes.
The whole wrestling shoes. He only
Oh.
took. He'd unwrap after every gig, and you'd be like, "Whew,
Yeah,
it just
Paul.
got ripe in here."
Just for the record, Paul, you don't show up. You're going under the bus.
Exactly.
Poor
Yep.
Paul. He's like, "My feet don't stink." He's home right now, smelling his own feet. Going, "My feet don't stink."
No, they do.
Honey, do my feet stink?
All right. Well, hey, can't wait to see you guys jam next weekend. Going to be.
I can't wait to see it either. That's going to be.
I can't wait either.
It's going to be good memories.
There's
good
going to be at
times.
least 4 people there to see it.
I think at least 4, and that's without double vision.
So with double vision, that's 8. It's
You know,
going to be great.
and I think we're going to start rehearsing this week. So
Oh,
You got time.
Yeah.
Lots of time.
Oh, you guys don't.
Time's on your side. Well, is that it? Are we done here?
I don't know.
I don't know if we are. We're only 5 minutes past our time, so
That's
we're not
normal.
that bad.
Yeah,
Thanks
we're
for
doing
having us,
good.
guys.
That's normal.
yeah,
Thank you so much.
Thank you.
And look how much
seeing
Scott
you.
talked.
That's
I mean,
the most
he's
words
got-
we've heard out of Scott in the 4 years we've been on this station.
The moment Jody walked in,
Oh,
He lit
yeah.
up.
he
opened
lit
up.
up and
Scott
started
wouldn't
talking.
shut up.
He's my man.
Girl back there.
Yeah,
Scott
yeah,
go way back, don't
Yeah.
we, dude?
Like car seats.
yeah. You notice he could hear that when I said it.
Suddenly he can hear everything too, right?
Yep.
All right. Well, hey, thanks to everybody out there. Thanks to our sponsors. Thanks to our guests. Everybody, do your homework between now and next week. Get out and support local music and art.
You got 2 Saturdays this weekend. A Saturday and a Sunday that's like a Saturday and a Monday.
So no excuse.
Plenty of time to get out and support local music and art
There you
this
go.
weekend. And you can find all the gigs at cottonmouth.org. Thanks again to our sponsors, Halpin Music Company and Mr. Matt Van Voorhis of Macias.
Matt Van V.